Howdy freeze dryers. Today we're going to piggyback on another video I did a couple weeks ago, which was a zucchini gnocchi, and we were taking all of our extra zucchini, our overage from the garden, and making gnocchi out of them, because gnocchi are a super easy way to use up all of the extra in a garden, and you have something that freeze dries really well. It also rehydrates really well. And since it's a little bit later in the gardening season now we have an overage of potatoes and sweet potatoes. These are also great candidates for freeze drying. They're great candidates for gnocchi, and they're actually a little bit easier to make than the zucchini gnocchi. So the first thing we need to do is heat up the oven. Your oven needs to go to 400 preheated, and then I'm going to show you what we need to do with our potatoes and sweet potatoes. Not a lot of preparation needed for sweet potatoes or potatoes. I like to scrub them. I like to take the eyes off. You can actually skin them if you want to after they're done baking. We're going to try and speed up that baking process also by just poking some holes in the skins. We're going to bake these for around 40 minutes just as a baseline. And you'll know when they're done because you can take a fork and pretty much stab the fork all the way through. While those potatoes are cooking, I'm going to show you our next step, which you can actually hold off on this until the potatoes are cooked, because they will actually need to cool down before you do this. But you're going to take 2 teaspoons of salt and mix it together with 2.5 cups of flour. And then you want to flour your work surface with this flour. I would probably start with kind of a pile, because you want to make a well just like that in the middle of it. This amount of flour is used for 2 medium-sized sweet potatoes, so keep that in mind. You will need to add more flour as the recipe goes on. And make sure you let the potatoes cool long enough that you can handle them, and then we're going to skin them. So once these are cooled, the sweet potato skin should just peel right off very easily. On this next part, you're going to want a potato ricer or some sort of shredder like this. And you're just going to go right over the flour. Flour your hands, and then we're going to squish this all together until we make a dough. And you might need to add extra flour as you go along. Then break off pieces and roll them into a roll like this. From there, you want to cut them into small pieces. You can leave them just like this, or you can take a fork and put little marks in them, or different designs. Then drop your gnocchi into some boiling water, and these are going to tell you when they're done because they'll float to the top. After about 2 to 3 minutes, those are going to float on the top, and then we're going to drain the water off of them and go right onto a pre-cut parchment lined freeze dryer tray. And you can see now that they take on a very pasta-like shape and texture. We're going to do one more tray of these, and then we're going to do this all over again with the potatoes. Our potato gnocchi seemed to turn out better than the sweet potato gnocchi. That could have just been because they were a little more done, or it could just be the texture of potatoes. But now we're ready for pre-freeze, and then we're gonna go in the freeze dryer tomorrow. Those look really great. Sweet potato gnocchi, potato gnocchi. All of the gnocchi was pre-cooked and pre-frozen. So this should be good and cold. Should speed up the batch quite a bit. You can find all of the gnocchi recipes that we've been freeze drying today at the freeze drying cookbook. You can find all of the accessories we've used in today's video and all the other videos that you have seen green accessories in at freezedryingsupplies.com. And our gnocchis are all done. Warm trays. You would imagine these would not take very long. They're very dry, they're full of flour, not a lot of water or moisture in them in the first place. The finished freeze-dried product actually turned out a lot different than I thought it was. Very solid. They almost look like packing peanuts, which is kind of funny. I'm hoping because we have cooked these first that these are just going to rehydrate no problem. Let's try that now. If we taste test them just before they're rehydrated. Very crunchy. But what that means to me is that these are going to store really, really well. Sweet potato gnocchi. Potato gnocchi. Time to rehydrate the sweet potato gnocchi, the regular potato gnocchi, and also we're going to do our zucchini gnocchi that we did before. I just want to show you the difference in all of them. And no secrets to this, we're just going to add some boiling water to it. You want to make sure that those are floating so they have a chance to get fully submerged. These are pretty tough, so I think they might take a while to rehydrate, so give them plenty of time. After about 4 minutes, the winner so far is the potato gnocchi. They are totally done. They're ready to eat right now. Zucchini, still a little bit tough on the outside. Same with the sweet potato. Sweet potato looks like it might take a little bit longer. These I did not think were fully cooked when I was done, so that probably has something to do with it. It might also just be that sweet potatoes get a little bit harder than regular potatoes do. So let's give those a shot first. Those did perfect. And after much deliberation, I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to have to boil some water again because these are just taking a long time. They're very hard on the inside still, soft on the outside, so I think boiling water, maybe throw them in boiling water for a few more minutes, I think that'll really help them out. So that should be better. Let's give both of these a try now. And that turned out much better. There's the sweet potato gnocchi. Nice and tender. I really like those. That's my favorite so far, I think. And now we have some zucchini gnocchi. I like those as well. Flavor-wise, I think I actually liked either the sweet potato or the potato the best. So after trying all three, there's a few takeaways. I think that the smaller gnocchi will do better. I would also use as little flour as you can get away with because they will rehydrate faster. They will be a little less chewy. Also, if you can keep your potatoes, sweet potatoes, or zucchini fluffy while you're mixing the dough together, it will definitely help keep them fluffy as you rehydrate them. Gnocchi is also a little bit bland. It's almost like eating pasta with no sauce on it. So you can liven it up by adding some stuff into that dough, garlic and spices, things like that. But if you just want to keep them plain after they're rehydrated, put some butter on them, add some red sauce, some white sauce, even some pesto would be great on all three of those. I think also what is very exciting about that is those are so dry and dense that they would store for a very long time. I'll leave it up to you whether or not you would want to cook them first. I think I would prefer cooking them even though they take about the same amount of time as they do if they were fresh cooked, like 2 or 3 minutes, as opposed to being cooked and then freeze dried. They still take about 2 to 3 minutes to rehydrate. I think if you have a choice, go smaller on the size of gnocchi. It will be a better, faster rehydration. I hope you learned something today. Remember to live life simple. We'll catch you next week. Happy freeze drying.